So after a year doing these videos, I have never shown the inside of my brewery. Thought I'd show you guys. Thought I'd show you guys my setup, what all I have. But yeah, there's things that like other homebrewers own that I see in their video that I then go, wow, I should probably have that. I do a lot of small batches, those first starting out, or brew all the time or want to scale down. This is definitely for you. Let's start with the mash tuns, shall we? This is what I used to mash in when I first started brewing. 10-gallon. A lot of people use this, you know. I got this spigot here, and it came from, I don't even remember. I totally forgot where I got this from. Then, so I was brewing so much, and I couldn't get through it all, and I wanted to experiment a bunch, I then scaled down to a 5-gallon one. That's this here. I then, as of yesterday, acquired something I'll be using from here on out. 3-gallon mash tun. Now we're talking. So the spigot fit. I was worried that my false bottom screen here wouldn't fit in there, but it fits perfectly. And this fits in perfectly. I got this from Amazon. I got my first 5-gallon one for Adventures of Homebrewing and Adventures in Homebrewing. They have these. That's where I got these screens and spigot from, and had this built into it also. I just unscrewed it and put it into here. This was also from Adventures of Homebrewing. This is a 9-gallon pot. This is the false bottom it comes with. I wrapped this actually at one point, the bunch of insulation. I was using this the most because I could also just heat directly, which is great. The igloo coolers, you cannot do that. Well, I don't use this hardly anymore, but this is one of my favorite mash tuns when it was insulated because, like I said, I could heat it up. I could do different mash rests. It was awesome. I would love to get like a 3-gallon version of this, you know, for what I'm doing. But I do have this in case I want to scale up my recipes. It's a nice option. These are my main two pots I use. 10-gallon, 5-gallon. 5 gallons for my boils. Mostly, this I do my sparge water in because it just heats up really, really fast. But yeah, these both work. These are both great. A buddy of mine actually got this because it had some dents on it, and I forgot where. You got it for like $50. It was super cheap. And then I just got this, I think, on homebrewing.org, I believe. But you can find 5-gallon pots anywhere. Those of you who follow me for the last year have noticed all these boxes back here. I got bottles back here, got stuff down here. Let's go through it all. Let's go through this box here first. This is a not well organized box, and I want to work on that in the new year. But this is my tubing used for transferring beer from a carboy into a keg, a closed transfer system. This is it's a quick disconnect here. It's a carboy cap here, and you just push the CO2 into here and pushes beer directly out. Normal siphoning tubes. One's for a 1-gallon. Got a longer one. Tubing. This is the siphoning pump. It goes into here. Every home brewer has these. If you're just starting out, get one of these. I do have this when I was doing like really hot sparges and using a tube. I had like a little tier system going, and this is a vinyl tubing, so it can go really, 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 really hot. So these are really good to have if you're doing fly sparges, if you're transferring really hot wort from one place to another. This is a bottling wand. Pushes in, fills the bottles right directly from your siphoning tube. I did get this screen that would actually screw into my 9-gallon pot. Screwed it in there a couple times, but for IPAs it would just get way too clogged. But I did use it for some other beers, and it actually works pretty good for non-hoppy beers. I love this thing. This thing is a thing where you put it into your wort, and you can like shake it just below the line, and it like fills up like that. But the minute you like move this little thing sideways, the wort all comes out, or whatever liquid's in there. This thing is great. It doesn't fit 1-gallon jugs though. It's unfortunate. And then my thermometer's in here, which is an odd spot for it. That's what's in this box. Just kind of a hodgepodge. I'd rather keep it a little bit cleaner than that, but here I am. I do keep this next to all my bottling stuff, all my like that purple box you just saw a second ago. You know, regular hydrometer. I used to use this dirty ass thing to do my sparges with, to Vorloft and stuff. But I don't use this anymore. I use like a Pyrex glass instead. This is a toolbox that sits next to all my stuff, my tubes and stuff. Duct tape. Probably the most used item in my homebrew kit. I use this so much. I don't know why. I always have a nice pair of like clipping plier cutters for my 2-gallon keg. Open and close everything. Got one for my 5-gallon keg. This is a 7/8. This is an 11/16. You can always have a good pair of pliers. I have 2 actually. One small, one big. You never know when you pull stuff off, move stuff around, bend stuff up. Very handy to have pliers. Scissors, very, very handy. Gotta have a screwdriver. I have 3 actually. This is probably a little more handy because I can open up my like picnic tap lines with this, the top of them, and clean them all out. I keep these around just because. This is nice too. I do have these, as I said. Got my regular clamps. This is nice too. If something fails me or I can't get something out, it's just another option. This is a little rusty and I actually need to buy a new one, but this has been really handy too if I want to cut bags open or, you know, cut tubing off. This has been handy too. Box cutter. I have a little guide just for little tiny little things that might need to be tweaked. I don't use this very often, but it's been handy on a few occasions. I don't ever use this. I'm not quite sure why it's in there, but I might have this in here. It's a drywall saw, but I think the intention was to like be able to cut off metal tubing. I haven't really used this though, and I should test it out. A couple Sharpies, Teflon tape, really, really handy for fixing any gaps or leaks. Bottle opener. That's it. I got a pen. Oh yeah, I used to have these little strings floating around. These are handy. So you guys probably dealt with this. You sanitize your carboy. You're ready to go, and you put your stopper on, and all the star sand and sanitizer and liquid, it doesn't stick in there. It just it rises to the top because it's so much liquid around it. And if you even try and dry it off, it still doesn't really stick in there very well. So what I would do is I would put this string in there, sanitized, and it's actually pinch it against the side of the carboy and keep it from like flipping off the top. Plus, if it's really strong fermentation, it would also hold. Try it out; it works really well. So I got my mittens to, you know, carry a hot wort with. Gotta have a funnel, a big funnel, strainer, bottle capper. I got these nylon stockings for when I dry hop in a keg. They work great. Got my oxygen tank here. I forgot where I got this, but this is this was on oxygen tank. Got a little outlet there. I put my oxygen stone out of here. I'll show you that right now. This goes on here. What is it? Counterclockwise? Yeah, it goes on counterclockwise. Here's the stone. Put it on the end of here. This goes onto here. You twist the top here, and then you bubble oxygen right into your wort. I think this is a 0.5 micron stone. I think they come in 0.2 also. Got them off Amazon. They're really cheap. You can use either one, 0.2 or 0.5. I got 2 RV water carbon filters. Really good for filtering out your water. These are really handy. These little 1 milliliter little syringes. I use this a lot for lactic acid additions. Iodophor, just to see to make sure if you have conversion on your mash, you can also use it to sanitize with as well. Good stuff. Next, I have all my little like chemicals, if you will. pH meter, star sands here, PBW scrub, really handy to clean out kegs and all that kind of stuff. pH storage solution, always good to have it for your pH meter. Lactic acid. These are for mead and maybe other things. I can maybe use this for wine. It's Fermex yeast nutrient, but I use it for mead recently. Tartaric acid, that's for wine, to lower the pH of wine. I then have my pH meter box. I keep this out of it right now because this leaked a little bit and it was just leaking too much, so I just keep it out. And then I got my pH calibration solutions. This is really handy. This is keg lube, keg gel, if you will. Petrol gel is what it's called. I have an older keg, 5-gallon keg, and it leaks sometimes. So that thing has been really handy to seal up the leaks. It's always good to have around. I've got my scales. I got 2. One was a friend of mine's. He doesn't brew that much anymore, so I just have 2. On top of my Radical Brewing book. You just gotta have this around. It's fun. This little thing here. All right. Let's dive in. The top part here is all like keg stuff. That was for a disconnect, old pH meter, which I have just for emergencies, but doesn't work that well. Yeast nutrient, which I actually should put on here. We'll get to this in a second. We gotta have teaspoon measurements around. Batteries for pH meter, pH strips, which I don't use ever, but you know, emergencies. A little filter. I do have this gas gauge, but I haven't got it to work. Oh, these little clamps are very handy to clamp down stuff for your kegs. This clips onto a carboy, and you can put your bottling wand in there. It's kind of handy. Little taps. These are like little extra. The rest of it's little extra stuff. I forgot what this is for. Okay, now the meat of it. I'm aging hops right now for like lambic style beer. Got wood chips, medium toast oak, potassium metabisulfite, which is used to like kill any wild bacteria and stuff. I think it's also can use to get rid of chlorine in water. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Calcium chloride, of course, which is spilled a little bit. Yeast nutrient, very handy, of course. Gypsum, I got 2 packs of this. Got one here, one here. Vino, which has an alpha-lactic enzyme in it, which can break up long sugar chains, which can dry out beer a bit more if it's stuck a little bit. Wolflock to clear out your wort, your beer, I should say. And this is used for a mead. This Go Firm stuff. It's like a yeast nutrient starter. And the bottom one here, I got just a bunch of marbles and a hop sack here. These are to weigh down hops in my keg. I actually have extra cheesecloth. Burner, of course. You can find these online pretty easily. I can find all this online, actually. I don't know why I keep saying that. Got 2 burners, I got 2 propane tanks, so when one runs out, I have another one full all the time. So I just swap when one is out, I just it gets low, I go fill the other one up, so I never run out of propane. Very handy to have 2 propane tanks. Got an RV hose here. I forgot about this thing. This is a 6-gallon big mouth bubbler. I was doing bigger batches. This was kind of handy. Only thing is, doing IPAs and hoppy beer with it, it would get too oxygenated. This plastic is pretty flimsy, so air would just get in too much. But man, this is handy. It's also very handy to bottle from too. You just open it, put your tubing in there, and bottle from there. It's great, and it's also so easy to clean. So if this plastic was a little thicker, I'd use it more often. Or if I had a smaller version of it, of course. Bottling brush, really handy. Measuring stick, spoon, and these are like older oak chips I was soaking them in, but they dried out, but I can still use them. Bottling caps, all my sugars, corn sugar, bottling and drying out beer. Always good to have light dried extra malt around. If you undershoot your gravity a little bit, it's great to have around to boost up. More corn sugar, and then my refractometer. And of course, my buddy made this for me. This is a copper wort chiller. Bottling tree, great for putting bottles on. There's the bottle cleaner back there. You squirts down and cleans the bottles. All the bottles here, empty, full. And I have more empties down here. This was a manifold I was going to hook up, but I didn't, and I should. 3-way manifold for having multiple kegs. But I never used it. It's a bummer, really. Then, of course, my 2 chest freezers here. This one isn't working, unfortunately, but I'm aging some beer in it. Fermentation chamber at the moment. Got a lager going. 2 Inkbird temp controllers. This is for this guy here. And this is for my kegging chest freezer. 5-gallon keg has a sour in it right now. 2.5-gallon keg has my latest IPA. Regulating PSI for the CO2 tank. I have a 6-gallon carboy there with wine in it. 5-gallon carboy there. 3-gallon carboy. And I got two more 3 gallons back here. All my other 1-gallon sours. So yeah, that's it. That's my setup. That's all my equipment. Hopefully you got something out of that. Like you saw something in there that you think you might need. Feel free to comment below with any suggestions of something you might have in your home brewery. But yeah, my next step is to get a grain mill. And I want to also get start and buy my own grain as well. So that's my next step. I don't have that set up yet, but yeah. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and yeah, stay tuned for more. Holy crap! I messed up. I forgot something. One big piece on my brewery is its aquarium pump, and it pumps cold water, ice cold water, and a wort chiller back into the water, and it cools it down so fast. Put a bunch of ice into this. It's amazing. The pump is called Kedsum. Kedsum. Let me show you. Very important. Very important. So yeah, let's end the video here instead of what I just said a second ago. Now's the true end of the video.